Hello, hello. Well, good evening, everyone. This is Vishal Memani. I am the founder of Fly Higher India, the co-founder, along with my other partner, that is Preetam Murwa. It's my pleasure to be connecting with all of you today on another Instagram live of FHI. My guest today is extremely special. My guest is someone whom I personally take a lot of inspiration from. Um she's a role model for me. She's somebody who not only inspires me as far as working in the developmental sector is concerned, but also a lot of inspiration as far as organizational strengths, as far as a vision is concerned, just as well. So I'm really looking forward to an absolutely amazing session with Ms Shukla Bose. I see that she's online already, so I'm just going to add her just as well here. In the meantime, let me just quickly pin the session. Yes, so this is a person whom extremely special. I take her as an absolute role model for anybody who wants to do any kind of work in the developmental sector. So let me welcome Ms. Shukla Bose here. Ma'am, thank you so much for tuning in. It's such a pleasure connecting with you.
Thank you very much, Vishal. It's is a pleasure my side as well.
Okay, so for all the viewers who are watching, I'm quickly going to introduce Ms. Shukla Bose, and then we're going to just quickly do a run through of how the interview is going to be carrying out. So Ms. Shukla Bose featured among the 50 leaders that can revive Indian education by the education world. She is the founder and CEO of Parikrma Humanity Foundation. Ranked number one social impact school in India 2019-20 by Education World, the Parikrma Humanity Foundation, founded in 2003 in Bangalore, India, offers high quality free education, healthcare, and community support to 1,500 children and their families from 80 slums and 5 orphanages in the city. Parikrma runs 4K to 10 schools and one junior college in Bangalore, where 52% of the students are girls. Parikrma alumni are now software engineers, entrepreneurs, artists, chefs, marathon runners, designers, professionals, football players, etc. A winner of the Governor's Award for Exemplary Social Work, Parikrma is now a chapter included in Cornell University and IIM Bangalore. So, ma'am, thank you so much for coming again. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I take a lot of inspiration from you. But of course, I would love to know how this entire journey started, what inspired you to start this, and why the name Parikrama as well.
Okay. Well, it's a very long story, but I'll try and keep it short. I've not been in the social sector for too long. There are many other better veterans than me. I was in the corporate world for 26 years. For 11 years, I was a CEO of a large multinational company. So I am in some ways an outsider in this world, but I've been here now for about 20 years. So it's kind of homegrown on me. Uh, you see, I was very, very always conscious uh, about the disparity that existed between a few of us and the lot, and this other side always intrigued me, bothered me, and that's why I decided one day to quit corporate life and actually, get down to the grassroots. I was inspired by Mother Teresa, with whom I had volunteered for 7 years when I was a young student, which is several decades ago. And I always knew that working for others gave me far more pleasure. But you know what happens, and social pressures, and you do your business management, and therefore you have to manage a company, and so that it went on. But when I decided to quit corporate life, I was very sure that I wanted to work with children, because working with children is great fun, and it gives you hope, because you know that there's something that you can work towards. It gives you a purpose to be able to create change. So that's how the story began. I began Parikrma with my own life savings. Didn't go to ask for money. Didn't go to a venture funding or anything. I started with my own life savings. The first school was on a rooftop inside the slums, because that's all that we could afford at that time in 2003, with 11 staff members. And today we have grown to, we are working with about 2,000 children, and we have about 200 staff member. But what I feel really very happy and proud of, that of the 11 staff members that we began with, 10 are still committed to Parikrma, still working with me, and we are all working for the same cause. So education is the only way we'll be able to create change. So when I decided to make a life change, it was important to change lives through education.
Wonderful. And why the name Parikrma, ma'am?
Well, Parikrma is a very old Sanskrit word, which means a circle, which means a journey. For us, it is a journey of transformation and circle of life that we deal with. Parikrma is very unique in its operations and approach. We call it the 360-degree program, where we say, children cannot be transformed by just bringing them to school and teaching them to read and write. We have to actually look at all the factors that impact a child's life: nutrition, health, as well as stable homes, and also not just the learning, but also a sense of well-being. And I think that's what is Parikrma, the circle of life that changes a child's destiny.
Oh, that's really beautiful. So, ma'am, just another, you said that you left the corporate world and you came to the developmental sector. So, did it help you, the kind of skills that you had developed yourself in the corporate world, to then come and execute that while making Parikrma and scaling it up as well?
To a certain extent. I know that because of my corporate experience, I was able to work out strategic plans, was able to sort of work out a map of direction that we would take, but only that actually. I had to sort of unlearn many things as I went along, because it was important to really get emotionally involved in the program and really begin to empathize with the children. So the balance sheet of my life changed. It was no longer the profit and loss, but it was actually seeing the impact that we had in children's lives, their families, and the community.
Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. So first, for the audience, anybody who has questions for Ms. Shukla Bose, we don't get the opportunity very often. So please make the most of it by typing them in the comments box. I would love to take them with Ms. Shukla Bose anytime during the conversation. So ma'am, just tell us more about Parikrma and the approach that you take towards education in Parikrma.
Okay, so Parikrama is, I mean, it's a very simple story, actually, Vishal. It's no rocket science. Um, but what differentiates us from many other institutions is our total engagement and involvement with the children. Okay, so while, as I said, that we realize that a child really cannot do well in studies or think about career plans if the child is basically hungry. I mean, they need to have good nutrition. So we provide all three meals in the school itself, breakfast, lunch, as well as a protein mix and snacks before they go back home. We try and give more than 88% of the calories required in the school itself. That sort of really gives them energy, gives them immunity, gives them, desire to continue to learn and study, take care of their health. Then, very importantly, our engagement with the parents and the community is very, very strong. And during COVID-19, and I'm sure you're going to ask me those questions later, that has really played out because we worked together as partners. See, particularly in India, you cannot work with children if you don't engage the parents. We're close knit, in that way. And children, even when they are young adults, depend on their parents' guidance. That is same in middle class homes as well as the marginalized. The connectedness between a child and parents is very strong, and you cannot negate that. So what we do is, instead of looking at parents as the adversary, which many other school institutions do, we actually look at them as partners. And that has helped us, because we, while our parents are all illiterate, we are working with first generation learners. But we have actually got them engaged into a learning process. We do financial literacy program, vocational, skills program, digital literacy program. So, and the parents are enthusiastic. They are keen. They're beginning to understand the significance of education. It's not just a school to send your child to while I go to work, but it's schools of hope where we will be able to change not just the child's life, but even our future. That's when you get a parents to think like that, they're very, very supportive. So I think that is what is the hallmark of Parikrama. That's what part of the 360-degree model. Then the other distinguishing fact of Parikrama is what we call the E to E, from one end to the other end. A child comes to us at age 5, and we try and take care of them till they're age 25. What does that mean? Is that we are engaged with the children. We don't want to wash our hands after the children have graduated from our schools. We support their further education as far as we can. Whatever courses they choose. 98% of our children are going for higher studies, which is a phenomenal data, for kids coming from slums. And we support their education. So this 360-degree model and the E to E model is what we say the cornerstones of Parikrama. And then, of course, what we values, the Parikrama values of caring, loving, empathy, these are important values that we have held very dear, and that is what has paid off, because I'm not the founder of Parikrama to my children. I am their akka, and all of us are akkas and annas. We are all a family, and that is what I think has made us what we are.
Mm. That's so beautiful because I love the fact that how you said that you consider parents to be partners to the school just as well, because if they are a part of the entire system, then it just becomes easier for you to run your programs and as well as push it to the children just as well. So
Totally, totally. I mean, yes, we have to work with the parents. Um, Look, I think like what we are trying to do is make sure that the parents are good role models for our children. They
mm,
may be uneducated, they may be doing simple, humble jobs, but they're working and they care for their children. Only very few parents are, detached from their children. Most of our parents and all parents want their children to have better lives than them. All children. All parents, all we have to do is provide the support system for them.
mm.
So, yeah, they'll always be our partners.
Yes, and we, of course, have had the privilege of working in all the four schools of Parikrma, the four centers that they have in Bangalore, from Nandini Layout to Sahakar Nagar to Korumangla and your Jitnagar Think Center as well. So, we can definitely vouch for it, the kind of holistic approach towards education. So, they're not just focused on bookish knowledge, there's just so much more. They allow the children to get exposed to different facets of life, and we of course try to contribute a little bit from our end that we can do just as well. So I'm going now into the more pandemic related question. So one is, how is Parikrama ensuring continued learning during the pandemic, and what are the challenges you see in times ahead as far as this whole pandemic situation is concerned, as on and the impact on children?
Okay. Um, First, Vishal, one of the things we learned is education is not to get a job. Education is to prepare for life. And all the things that impact life have to be taken care of. Okay. When the COVID-19 hit us, and the lockdown started um, as early as end of March, it was getting close to the end of the Karnataka academic year, which
Mhm.
is around end of March, early April. So it
Mhm.
was very easy for the government to declare all schools have to be closed.
Mhm.
Uh, we were very disturbed about it because we know schools for our children are not just learning centers. They are places to be safe. They're places to be nurtured and cared for. Therefore, shutting down the school didn't necessarily mean that our children would be safe, because they come from small 100 square feet rooms, sometimes not very sanitary, hygienic condition, and therefore confining these children in these little spaces was actually a lot more harmful. So we tried very hard to keep our schools open as long as possible. And the children happily came to our school when all other schools were closed down. But when the lockdown happened, obviously we couldn't violate the rules, and we knew that we would be putting people at risk. So we had to close down the schools. So what we were getting distressed when we were getting news about children not getting 3 square meals. Our students were kind of starving. Family members were in distress. So we said, look, a lockdown or whatever, we have to react and respond to the situation, and we cannot have our children go hungry. We cannot have our children, be in this kind of distressed condition. So we started distributing food, cooked food to our children in partnership with another NGO. We cooked food and distributed to them every day. That was some bit of relief. But then we felt, it's like, why do we presume what we are cooking is enough for them or is what they want to have. What is convenient for us is not necessarily what they may want to have. So why not give them that freedom? So we started then giving them rations for about a week for 5 people. So we would give them 5 kilos of rice, 3 kilos of dal, and a whole lot, including a cake of soap. Because we'd say, you've got to wash your hands, wash your hands. What do they wash their hands with? So that's what we started. And we've been distributing rations for several weeks. Now we would have reached about nearly 9 lakhs of meals that we have distributed altogether. And then we use that opportunity where the parents would come to pick up their rations and maintain all social distancing, and it was quite a model to follow actually. Our social distancing pattern was emulated by many others, and we then realized that this was an opportunity to reach out to the children. So we would send homework through the parents, and the parents would bring back the homework. Then we started sending audio messages to our children, through WhatsApp, audio messages. Then when we realized that this is going to continue for some time, we needed to have a long-term plan. So we did a drive to collect old spare devices from our friends, associates, raised funds to buy refurbished phones, and then started sending them across to our children. Altogether, we've distributed about close to 300 devices to our community. But I mean, we still need to do a lot more because we haven't been able to give every single child a device. And now, then it was this question of how do we get our teachers trained to use technology, because our teachers are not all geared for that. So we did about nearly 3 weeks of training to get teachers to use the system, technology. And so we've been running classes through Google Classroom for now nearly 8 weeks. While all other schools were wondering how to do, what to do, we had just got started. Vishal, for us, it is very important to keep our children connected to school. Because they drop out. There's this talk going on that nearly 10 million kids will drop out of school once because of COVID-19. We don't want Parikrma children to be a part of that. We want our children to continue their education.
Yeah. It's a very alarming fact, and probably we don't realize it as much. The kind of impact the whole break in the whole education system and the journey is that the kids are going to be facing. And also school was a kind of like a discipline for the kids, that they needed to get up at a certain time, change, ensure they reach a certain time to the school, attend it until a certain period of time, and then go back. So that entire discipline has been so badly disturbed. And how it's going to really impact on a more long-term basis, something which we need to see. But really, it seemed, and I speak to other schools just as well. So everybody has a similar concern that, and these are more urban centers. When it goes to the rural centers, it's going to be even worse, I believe. So
Yeah.
I don't know how the government can probably intervene in this whole process and try to make it better. I'm sure they're also trying their best, but yeah, it is going to be quite alarming in times ahead.
Yeah. See, I think the government should, whenever they address a problem, they address in large scale, obviously,
Yeah,
with so many government schools. But I would recommend not to wait to find a perfect solution for the millions, but to do it one school at a time. I mean, every day wasted in a child's life is a huge loss.
Yeah,
So
start
don't
somewhere.
wait for a perfect solution. That's what we did. You know, we didn't, I mean, but the whole idea of Parikrma was, let's do whatever we can, one child at a time. Because if you're able to change it to one child's life, you know that you will be able to change a community. Okay, so not wait for to have lots of funds, to have all the devices, we broke them up into little clusters.
Yeah.
3 kids came into a little home and they shared one device. And then when we were able to give more devices, then we split them up further. But we got started. It's very important to get started, you know.
So also there was this case going on in the court, and I'm sure probably it's been resolved a bit now, where the lot of digital literacy and a lot of people were objecting to it, that the right to education, and it became a big campaign. What's your take on that, ma'am?
Okay, so I was involved in the petition that was made against the government ban on online education. There have been, cases of schools charging unscrupulous amount fees when actually, the expenses did not commensurate with the fees that were being charged. Those were allegations made. They went to the government. Then obviously the government also began to realize that the divide between the private schools and the government schools were actually increasing even further. So I mean, unfortunately, the government considers itself as policemen. They instead of being facilitators, they kind of create an overall ban. That I definitely was against, because look, those schools that had charged more, or there were complaints should be taken offline and be dealt with. But you can't have a general ban against online education if that is the only thing, unless they came up with another solution. But right now, online education is the only way to be connected with our children, to get our children to be in the momentum of learning and not fall aside, So I was definitely for online education. But remember, we are in a different domain altogether. We not charging fees at all. We've never charged fees. Ours are free schools, and so therefore our survival didn't depend on online education and fees. Like many other private schools, they needed to raise those fees to be able to sustain themselves. For us, it was a different challenge. For us, is a survival of a different kind. Survival of physically, to have food, to have healthcare. Though that's the kind of survival problem challenges that we face with our children. Yeah. So online education is here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think this pandemic is going anywhere really anytime very soon. So this is going to continue. But also a ban like this has huge impact on the teacher and the staff just as well. Whether it is a privileged school or not so privileged, at the end of the day, the school needs to generate some revenue to be able to sustain and pay their staff just as well. So a blanket ban without any plan for thinking about teachers and the other staff, etc. It's quite a. I didn't understand the logic as well.
My advice to private schools is make your parents partners of the school.
Yeah.
Rather than the adversaries or critiques, they are your partners. And so communication is very important, Vishal. In these kind of situations, how you communicate, who you communicate to, and what time you communicate is very important. But the parents have to be partners of the school
Yeah.
program.
Yeah. Ma'am, going into more about Parikrma's future plans, I understand that recently, let's say consider pandemic is over tomorrow. So what are Parikrma, let's say next 5 years, or what did you have plans for the organization ahead?
Okay. Um, uh, One of the things that we have always done study, research on is how do we give the right values to our children? See, our children come from deprived backgrounds. Their focus would be to get a good job, earn a lot of money. But it's very important for them to also understand, and the whole world to understand, that wealth creation must change to wellness creation. We must move from wealth to wellness. And COVID-19 phenomena has taught us that also the difference between profit and profiteering. you know uh, so all these are very well connected. We also have to examine not what to learn, but how to learn.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of, the curriculum has to be, focused on result, leading to examinations. Today, we know that we can manage well without these draconian examination system. We've done that, right? So what the hell were we doing about, getting a whole education system towards education? We have learned that we don't need walls and blackboards and textbooks for to learn. We are learning from our homes today. So those are new learnings that we have. And I think we must leverage that. We must take this learning forward. And that's what we plan to do. My dream is to give more space to my children. Love to, give them more nature education. So far, we've been concentrating on industrial education. We need to move towards nature education. We need to move towards, actually being a communication with nature. And look, if COVID-19 hasn't taught us all that, nothing will.
Nothing will. True.
Okay, so I think what we will do is we will hold on to a little bit of online education. We have learned it. It has the advantages. We want to, use that as a platform. We will have blended learning. And I'm suggesting to everyone that, this lockdown that we talk about, why don't we actually go for a voluntary lockdown globally for 1 week every year, when everything shuts down, schools shut down, traffic shuts down, airline shuts down. But we would do it voluntarily because we want to give the planet a little bit of breathing time. Okay, so this awareness. And so I'm going to change the calendar post COVID-19, and whenever that is. And if the world doesn't adopt a shutdown, Parikrma will definitely shut down for a week, work from home, and all the things that we did, we enjoyed, we did not enjoy, we will remember it. Memory is very important. Remembering things that have impacted our lives. Otherwise, 2020 is a lost year. It will have not taught us anything.
I'm so much in tune with what you're saying, and I think I totally better probably have the same mindset as you are. You have, whether it was for the right to education and the whole campaign, whether it is making parents partners to the school, whether it is right now when you're saying there should be a voluntary lockdown, I would rather keep it 1 week every month, forget about once a year. I think these need to heal. Sometime, the family bonds need to kind of like come together, as well as now we've learned this entire online way, and it should continue in proportions even after the lockdown just as well. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
totally agree. Ma'am, now of course we've spoken a little about Parikrma and your future plans and what is happening in thing. So we at Fly Higher we instill life skills in children. So how do you think? Why do you think life skills are important to be instilled in children?
As I said, I mean, if you don't teach our children how to live life,
Yeah.
what the hell is education for? Okay, so life skills very important because otherwise our education pattern is only dependent on knowledge.
Mm.
Knowledge is not as important as application. Okay,
Yeah.
so when you teach
Mm.
life skills, you are teaching children how to apply what they have learned
Yeah.
into actually living life.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, world over, it's becoming evident that uh, you know teaching children theories is not good enough.
Mm.
You have to get children to put some of that into practice, and when you do that, then only will it be wisdom.
Mm.
And to get into wisdom, life skills is very important.
Yeah, wonderful. I feel nice about that. Yes. So a lot of people are liking what you're saying, and they're sending a lot of emojis with hearts and thumbs up and other things. Yeah, someone is saying hi, Akka and Anna. I'm very self-Abhi student of Parikrama. So the one student of us is also yours also watching. It's a great idea, voluntary lockdown. Yes, Samita, it definitely is. I would love to have it if I was probably the country, the prime minister or something. I would make it mandatory, definitely, so that the nature heals, so that we as well, and we are a part of nature just as well. So yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, it's very fascinating. So there was a little incident where we were running a program at your Sahakar Nagar school, and the whole topic was communication and how there can be miscommunication just as well. And I still remember that there was one kid called Rishikesh. Very nicely after the session, he so beautifully summed up what we had done as far as the session is concerned, and the purpose of why we had gone there and we had conducted that entire exercise. So it was very nice, and we do a lot of work with activity-based learning. So it becomes fun for the kids; they engage in it just as well, and so do our volunteer groups as well. Become a part of their entire session. So it's not like somebody just going and talking to the kids, and then they get a little bored after a while. So a lot of these activities just kind of like engage the kids, and then they probably remember it much longer than they would have otherwise remembered it. So yes, firstly thank you as well as the organization, and of course Kalpana ma'am a lot for allowing us to come in and become partners with Parikrama just as well, to be able to take forward our programs there. So ma'am, so like you said, partners with parents. Similarly, organizations like Fly Higher, and I'm sure there are lots that you work with just as well, because I've keep following your posts on different social media. So how are they important as far as the Parikrama journey is concerned?
Uh, okay, so a very going back, I'm going back to the
Yes.
point that you said about communication.
Yeah.
See, communication is extremely important, and Vishal, your organization does a fantastic job of it. I'm really glad that your organization spends so much time with children to actually, give them certain direction.
Mm.
Um, you would notice that one thing that stands out about our children is their confidence level, okay, their sense of self-esteem. And that is a part of the Parikrama philosophy.
Yeah.
Parikrama philosophy is that uh, we have to give everyone equal opportunity, and that we are all equal. We have been born into different homes, and that's just by chance, embryonic accident, as you would call it. But what we have to do is give children the sense of I am as adequate, I am as good. Unless you give that sense of high self-esteem, children will not be confident enough to communicate. Okay, so it's not just communication superficially, but it's actually believing in oneself and being able to express that. So yes, I'm constantly in touch. I see some of my kids saying that we are happy to see each other after a long time. Yes, I'm not. I would send them audio messages earlier, but I haven't sent them any video messages for a long time. But I am in touch with all our alumni, as many of them as possible. And because I am keen to know how they are doing. Like, many of them are entrepreneurs, and they've really been hit by COVID-19. So I constantly talk to them and tell them, resilience is one big factor of leadership. You cannot give up. You have to, like just this morning, I was talking to this alum of ours who was actually running a restaurant. Who started a restaurant of his own and was, providing fusion food. Unfortunately, and he had 27 guys reporting to him, the staff members. Unfortunately, and he would keep telling me, I will be able to pay them for another 3 months. I will not be able to pay them more. So I know the kind of challenges he's going through. It's very important for these young people who are trying to make something of their lives to have someone to talk to. And I'm always available for them. Mentoring of that kind is extremely important, because our kids don't have someone to go and talk to. So what we have done, Vishal, you'd be interested to know, is we've created a COVID-19 listening post. So all our children, because many of them are very stressed out. So we give them an outlet. They have a helpline. We have a helpline, and guys. Any Parikrama students or anyone who's interested to contact us through this helpline, do that. We'll try and listen. The most important thing in these kind of situations is to listen to people. And we are always willing to listen to you without any judgment, because we know all of us are going through these issues. It's not your fault if your business is not doing well. It is, and don't worry, things will pick up. You will have learned. So I was telling this young guy, owner of a restaurant who's had to close it down. He's saying, you should really do delivery at home. Start doing package. So we were working out a business plan for that. So there are lots of opportunities. You have to be creative during these moments.
Yeah. So just quickly, so Sheetal is our Bangalore city leader for Fly Hire India. So she says Parikrama is doing a great job. The kids are really awesome. Glad to have interacted with these children through FHI, and also they have taught her a lot of things just as well. So it's always like an exchange. It's never a one-way traffic. So and Megha Balraj, I believe you know her. She's requesting
Yes.
that we post this
So
video
did
on
she.
IGTV. Yes, it will be posted on IGTV. She said, I'm sure a lot of Parikrama kids are going to be happy to see Akka engaging in social media. It's surely a treat to our eyes. Yes, it's a treat to our eyes just as well at Fly High. So, truly a role model. So, really, really happy to have connected with ma'am. So, ma'am, one, since Sheetal, our city leader, is online, so I'm just going to make a little small commitment from our side from Fly Higher India. Just a small token of 5,000 rupees, whatever ration can be bought from that. So Sheetal will coordinate with your team members. So we would like to make that to Parikrama. So I hope whatever little help it can be to any of the kids that it reaches, I'll be very happy to do that. Uh, so since I said that, at Fly Higher, we talk a lot about activity-based learning. So there's a quick little activity for you, ma'am, here. So I'm going to be
Okay.
just saying some words to you, and whatever comes to your mind first when you hear that word, you'll have to just say it out to me. So when I say
Okay.
smile,
Okay. I find that this COVID-19 has taught me how to detect smile in eyes. With people on them wearing masks, you smile through your eyes. I had never ever realized that. So yeah.
that's so true because like there's so many times when I have given a smile with my face, but it's hidden. So they can probably see it from the eyes. So very very true. I totally agree with you on that. Yes, wellness is the next word.
Wellness actually comes from within,
Yeah,
how you interpret the world around you.
yeah.
But it's also wellness is I cannot feel well if my neighbor is not. And
Mhm.
when we begin to look at community wellness,
Mhm.
then only will wellness be true.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Since you used the word community, I'm using that giving that back to you. So when I say community, what comes to your mind?
All these days, years, I've looked at community as my parents, but
Mm.
it's now gone beyond that
Mhm.
because community is all of us together, and it's not me and the other.
Yeah.
This othering of the community is what I think has gone wrong. So, all of us together is collaborative community.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Education.
Um, I think education is, I think we've either put education into a platform that is irrelevant. Education is just learning, and
Mhm.
education does not have to be formal. Education can happen all times, and learning can never be confined to time and space.
Mhm. Yeah. The last one is curiosity.
Curiosity is the excitement to want to know
Yeah.
what is happening around, but it has to come with enthusiasm and excitement. So
Absolutely.
excitement, enthusiasm leads to curiosity.
Oh, wonderful, ma'am. Really love the answers. So, ma'am, whenever we get somebody to our live sessions, I'm a very selfish founder just as well. I take some commitments from our guests. One is the fact that
Sure.
we are still a young non-profit, still learning, trying to, and but we spread quite rapidly because we are now in 30 cities with our volunteer groups, and they are taking these programs to schools like Parikrama. So to be able to help us, guide us better, and mentor us in some ways, so that at the end of the day, just the understanding of what the kids need, and if our curriculum or the activities that we're conducting are actually meeting those standards or not, and better it just as well. So that could be like a future planning for us at Fly Higher just as well. So if you could just guide us and mentor us on those aspects, it'll be really nice for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I shall be in
Yeah.
touch with you for that. Yes. Okay.
Sure.
I'll just read out some comments. One word to describe Parikrama is love, explore, and excel. So Abhi Oda, he's mentioning. Shikha Jain says
That
all
is
your
a motto of
answers. Yeah, Shikha Jain says all your answers were so fascinating. For Megha Balraj, curiosity is element one can see in every Parikrama kid, which I agree with absolutely. Totally relate to that. Yes. So a lot of emojis and hearts coming in. Thank you so much, ma'am. So I think I've come to an end to our conversation here. Any last thoughts or that you would like to share with us?
Yeah. Two thoughts. Okay. First, my request to all those that have tuned in is that if you all have a spare device, unused device, please send it to us by courier, because we need about 300 more devices to give, so that our children can continue to learn. And number two is, to do something for society, one can begin today. You don't have to become old. You do not have to earn a lot of money. It can begin today. And I mean, that way, Fly High is doing it, right, with your volunteers. So, what I would say is that I believe in these three pluses. Okay. If all of us, each one of us, took care of one child's education, took care of one tree by the road, took care of one street dog and just fed the street dog and took care of it. Can you imagine, the world would be so much better? There would be kids all learning, there would be street dogs taken care of, and there would be trees that wouldn't be chopped. It just requires one person to take care of one of these. So it's very simple. Don't need to do anything great, but to do it with great amount of intent and passion.
Yeah, so just for anybody who heard this, of course, if you have a spare device and you can spare it, of course, that's why it's spare. Please let me know through the Parikrma Foundation, through the Instagram DM. I'll share that details with ma'am and her team so that we can get it across to the school. It will of course reach the children. And something very special that ma'am said, that if you can on just take care of one child, one tree, and a pet. It doesn't have to be a dog. It
No,
can be.
not a pet, a street dog.
Okay. Okay, not like a house. Okay, a pet. Okay, not a pet. So a street dog. The
You
world will.
get rid of the pet, of course, but a street dog, yeah.
Yeah, will be a very different place because, of course, the street dog is not really nurtured and taken care of. So you'll be able to take the responsibility of that dog. So very beautiful the thoughts, ma'am. Ranjani, the dietitian, she says very well said. So yes, we're all loving what you're saying, and for me personally, ma'am, I've been following you for a while. You've been a real huge role model and an inspiration. As a founder, even if I can be 10% of the kind of journey that you've had, I feel very fulfilled and happy about that. It's beautiful and amazing to be able to for us to go to the Parikrama centers and run our programs. These kids that you're nurturing are special. We usually work with your 8th and 9th standard kids. So of course, to get them to that standard and the kind of confidence and the enthusiasm and curiosity that they show, it's definitely because of the journey that they have had before reaching the 8th or the 9th standards. So thank you so much for tuning in. You are an inspiration to me, and there are a couple of the other people who are typing just as well. Yes, you're inspiring a lot of people. So this, for everybody, all the viewers, this video, the recording is going to be on our IGTV. I'm going to be sharing it with the Parikrama team just as well. Anybody who wishes to listen to it later, or even who couldn't tune in right now and wants to watch it later, can also have a look at it from our IGTV. Yeah, ma'am, thank you so much for tuning in. It was really, really nice. I loved my Sunday evening, I would say. It was really nice, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me, Vishal. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.